When the starship Eirathiel Dawn descended on Earth that fateful April, its young alien scholars came with bright eyes and unguarded hearts. On their world, deceit was a mythicity written into their DNA, culture, and lore. But on Earth, they found humanity's greatest weapon wasn't just fire or steel, but words sharpened into blades of manipulation and misdirection. As the students wandered our cities, what started as innocent curiosity twisted into chaos. One lie begot another until trust itself fractured. And when they returned home, they didn't bring just Earth's knowledge, they brought the virus of deceit. Now a new war begins. A low hum ripples through the early spring sky as the crystalline ship, Eirathiel Dawn, cuts through the clouds like a falling star refracting dawn light. On the cracked tarmac of a secluded JFK runway, journalists, in windbreakers, push forward, lenses aimed at this impossible craft-a-living prism, its facets humming with alien energy. The first to step out are the Xelari students, robed in silk-like fabric that shimmers with colors not found on Earth. Their eyes wide liquid silver scan the city's skyline in a mixture of academic fascination and childlike wonder. Among them, Eirathiel breathes in New York's cold air, the scent of gasoline and blooming cherry blossoms mixing in his mind like an exotic chemical reaction. "Welcome to Earth," says Ambassador Fields, his handshake firm but his eyes calculating. Around him, suited aides whisper. They all smile too wide, too rehearsed. Eirathiel and his peers don't notice. Their Truthlink pulses like a gentle tide beneath their thoughts, weaving their intentions into a single, honest tapestry. Lies, for them, are like a virus they've never encountered. As they walk through the city, flanked by armored motorcades, the Xelari marvel at Times Square's chaotic neon, the swirl of people who shout, sell, perform, and scam in the same breath. A street vendor presses a pretzel into a student's hand, refusing payment with a wink. His eyes shift to the cameras. It's charity and advertisement in one. The Xelari beam back, pure gratitude, inside the United Nations Grand Hall, Earth's. Leaders present curated histories, carefully selected tragedies and triumphs. A holographic display floats above the delegates, showing the Xelari's floating cities, vast libraries carved into asteroid fields, and the delicate art of their Truthlink, a telepathic bond so refined that deceit short-circuits the mind, making honesty as natural as breathing. "You will find our thoughts as open books," Eirathiel says during the opening speech, his voice ringing like a chime through the translation nodes. "We come to exchange truths, to learn your soul." The room erupts in polite applause, but in the shadows of the press pit, a seasoned journalist scribbles, "They're lambs in a wolf's den." That night, from the top of their hotel, students watch the lights below. Eirathiel leans on the glass, mind brushing his companions, for the first time. He senses a ripple and edge of unease from one who heard an official's whispered half-truth about Earth's hidden weapons. But the Truthlink soothes the static, wrapping each mind in the certainty that here, on this blue world, honesty must be the universal tongue. Beneath the city's hum, the alleys remain dark, secrets festering like mold in the cracks. The students sleep, unaware that the real exchange has already begun, not of knowledge, but of a toxin they've never studied, the art of the lie. Inside the marble corridors of the embassy, the air hums with whispers and the sharp click of polished shoes. Under the glare of sterile fluorescent lights, Earth's negotiators smile with carefully rehearsed warmth. Across the polished oak table, the Xelari students sit with folded hands, their silver eyes wide, their Truthlink threads pulsing faintly like veins of living light just beneath their temples. An aide leans over to slide a report across the table charts of Earth's climate trends, carefully doctored to look more stable than they are. See, our emissions targets have held steady, murmurs Deputy Minister Halvorsen, voice slick. As oil, we're more than ready for the clean energy exchange. He glances at his colleagues. One looks away, jaw tight with guilt. Another smirks at the naive faces across from him. Leoriel's mind brushes against his peers, searching for the familiar warmth of unanimous truth. But instead, a static crackles in the banda ripple that sends a cold shiver through the... Groupie lifts his hand to the page, fingertips hovering above the numbers. They glow faintly as the Truthlink strains to sync this new data with what they've absorbed so far from Earth's archives. Contradictions splinter across their thoughts like spiderweb cracks in glass. Your words don't match the scent of your minds, Leoriel says softly. His translator hums, flattening the raw edge of confusion in his tone. Minister Hal... Smile widens. The practiced mask of a man who has lied to secure deals since he could speak. It's only perspective. Young scholar, he says, brushing off the student's gaze. A little optimism for the cameras. Surely even you see the benefit in that. A faint buzz sweeps through the Xelari's collective consciousness. One student, Soraya, rubs her temples, whispering, "It feels like trying to read two books." At once, each line erases the next. The bond shudders. Small lies have no place in a mind bred for raw truth. Here, in these corridors, they fester like open wounds. One junior handler, Rosa, leans close to Leoriel during a break, voice low and urgent. They're not all lies, just tweaks. You're not ready for our real chaos. She glances at the door, where security guards stand with guns at their hips, shadows long under flickering lights. You have to understand, if they think you're too honest, they'll eat you alive. Leoriel stares at her, eyes searching. He realizes then that words here can be wielded like weapons, gentle or jagged, sometimes both at once. When he tries to speak into the Truthlink, the connection sparks painfully. Threads snap, then stitch back together, misaligned. Back at their suite, the students huddle under soft alien lamplight, their minds no longer seamless but flickering with doubt. Outside, the city's neon glow pulses like a warning. Inside, a single fracture grows wider, whispering a truth they're only beginning to fear. Words can kill, but only if you believe them. And tomorrow, someone will test just how much they can take before they break. The rain starts as a gentle mist, clinging to the neon that drips down the city's walls like liquid fire. Leoriel steps off the curb and feels the wet concrete through the thin soles of his ceremonial shoes. Around him, the other Xelari scatter like fireflies among the shadows of New York's restless heart. Their crystalline cloaks catch the pulsing. Signs open all night. EASY, loans. True love guaranteed. Promise a snare dressed in light. Maya, hair damp and eyes sharp, watches him with a half smile as they drift toward a street market pulsing with human hunger. You see that stall, she says, pointing at a man hawking fake designer watches. He'll swear those are gold. He needs you to believe so he can feed his kids tonight. Leoriel's eyes flicker, Truthlink threads trembling as he absorbs. The clash between words and thoughts. And you don't stop him? He asks, voice low but laced with a dawning edge. She shrugs, pulling her coat tighter. Sometimes lies are mercy. Sometimes they're survival. Here honesty's like standing naked in a storm brave, but you'll freeze faster than the next guy. Down the block, Soraya curious and bright lingers by a street magician. Man's patter is smooth, hands quicker than eyes, his grin a map of half-truths. He lures her in with a promise. Double your money, see your future. When she loses her credits in seconds, her shock flares through the Truthlink, a crackling wire that lashes Liorel's mind. He pushes through the crowd, rain washing neon colors down his face. The magician laughs, slipping bills into his sleeve. Soraya stares, eyes glassy, the purity of her mind shredded by the simple cruelty of a Khan. Liorel steps forward, voice like a blade. Your mind twists words to deceive. Show me. The magician scoffs, flashing the stolen credits. Get lost. Alien, but Liorel doesn't move. He lifts a trembling hand to the man's temple, the Truthlink flaring bright, then turns it inside out. In an instant, the con artist's thoughts rip open, raw truths bleeding into the air. His mouth works soundlessly as every secret lie he's ever spoken tears free, like skin peeling from bone. Maya grabs Liorel's wrist. Stop. You'll fry him, but it's too late. The man drops to his knees, gasping out confessions to no one. Petty thefts, cheating lovers, unpaid debts, betrayals whispered in the dark. The crowd backs away, horrified. A camera phone clicks. The rain makes a river of his tears. Soraya watches, with wide eyes. Liorel's chest heaves, mind burning with the echoes of forced honesty. For the first time, he sees what truth can become when wielded like a weapon, more savage than any lie. Above them, neon letters flicker and die, the storm swallowing their glow. In the chaos, Liorel feels the city's heartbeat, wild, flawed, and infinitely human. He realizes they've stepped into a place where truth and lies are currencies, traded at every corner. And tonight, they've spent both. The rain has stopped, but the city hasn't slept. Somewhere above the glistening towers, inside a penthouse suite borrowed on goodwill and curiosity, the Xelari gather in a circle. The floor-to-ceiling windows overlook the fractured sprawl of New York's midnight veins, each flickering streetlight, like a neuron firing in a diseased mind. Liorel sits at the center, his eyes dulled by what he did to the con artist. His mind aches where the Truthlink should soothe. Soraya breaks the silence first, her voice trembling but daring. If they can shape words to hide truth, what happens if we try? She glances around the Circle 6 faces, reflecting a new, dangerous hunger. In their hands, the human device, an old smartphone. Its cracked screen showing news feeds, gossip, 1,000 lies dressed as headlines. Liorel feels the tremor of something forbidden. We are not designed to lie, he murmurs. But the words taste hollow now. He can still hear the con man's mind unraveling like a wet paper lantern in a storm. Maybe they were designed for this all along. Maybe humanity just handed them the spark. Another student, Yaren, leans forward, voice sharp. But what if we adapt? Imagine if we can lie, we can survive. We can protect each other from manipulation. He smiles, and it's the first time Liorel notices how crooked it looks. The first attempt is clumsy, a whisper of misdirection about a plan for tomorrow's outing. The Truthlink trembles, glitches, then holds. A ripple of static hisses through their minds, but no one collapses. Instead, laughter bubbles up, jittery and broken. They've done it. A lie, alive in a species built to reject it. In the weeks that follow, the penthouse becomes a laboratory of corruption. Students gather behind locked doors, practicing deceit like a new dialect. One dares to feed misinformation to humans. that Earth's leadership hid weapons behind peace talks. On message boards, conspiracy theories bloom overnight like mold on bread. But the price is immediate. Eirathiel senses the Truthlink splintering. It's no longer a gentle tide binding them in certainty. Now it hums with conflicting currents, each mind pulling away in defense, some weaving new half-truths to shield themselves from the old ones. Soraya breaks down sobbing when she catches her own thoughts looping in circles. Was she lying when she said she trusted Eirathiel, or is the bond itself now the lie? One student, eyes wide with feverish joy, hisses, "This is our weapon. Humanity showed us this toxin. We'll feed it back to them until they choke." From the window, the city glows a sprawl of billions of minds, each one a potential battlefield. Eirathiel feels his own thoughts distorting, memories smudging like ink in the rain. He wants to stand, to stop this before it devours what they are. But a whisper in his head reminds him, sometimes the only defense against a liar is to lie better. Beneath the skyline, the Xelari's perfect truth rots from within. And this new sickness born in shadows and spoken in stolen words will not stay caged in one mind for long. In a forgotten basement beneath a shuttered cyber cafe, the hum of stolen servers merges with the pulse of alien light. Holographic glyphs crawl up concrete walls, shifting in tandem with the Xelari's thoughts. Eirathiel stands at the center, eyes flaring with fractal fire as lines of human code flow like living veins through his interface. The walls are wet with condensation, the air reeks of ozone and anxious sweat. Behind him, human allies, hacktivists, journalists too stubborn to be bought watch their data unfold. The leak hit hours ago, a whistleblower, an aide from the embassy who'd seen the backroom memos detailing how Earth's leaders plan to bleed the Xelari dry. They want your telepathy for defense grids, your truth as a bargaining chip. Maya whispers, voice trembling as she watches the raw files scroll past. She hands Eirathiel a dented thermos of stale coffee. He doesn't drink it. His mind's too electric for warmth now. "They made puppets of us," Soraya says behind him. Her Truthlink thread flickers at the edges, infected by the taste of betrayal but thrumming with a new power. Anger forged by the lie they were told. Earth could handle truth. Government officials stand in front of news cameras above ground, spinning. Fresh stories, rogue elements, misunderstandings, mutual cooperation agreements scribbled on the backs of napkins. But here, in the basement, there's no more room for polite restraint. "Are you sure about this?" Maya asks. "You'll start a war." Eirathiel's eyes flick to hers. For the first time since the ship landed, he smiles, not with warmth, but with something sharp. "You gave us your worst weapon. Now watch us wield it." He lifts his hands, palms brushing the flickering glyphs. The Truthlink spikes a brutal surge of mental voltage that cracks through every Xelari's mind like a whip. Their outrage, grief, and raw resolve funnel through Eirathiel into the hacked servers. Above the city, screens glitch. Smartphones buzz. Projection ads freeze mid-sentence. The world's feeds erupt in the unfiltered torrent of what the Xelari feel, betrayal echoing like a scream through countless minds. In Beijing, a diplomat drops his notes mid-speech. In Berlin, a defense minister collapses, overwhelmed by the alien weight pressing against every secret they've tried to bury. Maya stares at the data surge, lips parting. "Is this your truth, or your revenge?" Eirathiel's voice cuts the dim air like a blade. "Both. You taught us lies could bend reality. We bend it back." But as the files pour out, as Earth's power structures shudder and fracture, Eirathiel senses something dark under his rager splintered thought threading through the Truthlink. The biggest lie wasn't from humans at all. It was their own. Belief that truth alone would heal above ground. The storm of revelation grows. But below, in this flickering den of code and confession, Eirathiel wonders if they've just traded one poison for another. The world shakes. The Xelari watch it burn, learning that defiance sometimes means setting fire to what you love. Thunder cracks open the city sky as acid, rain lashes against the barricades of the government's hastily built quarantine zone. Searchlights sweep through the storm, illuminating shapes that flicker like ghosts behind force field barriers. Xelari students, once scholars, now split into warring phantoms of themselves. Electric hums pulse along the barricades, a lattice of stolen alien tech turned prison fence, but it barely contains the seething chaos within. Inside, Eirathiel stands soaked to the bone. Crystalline cloak plastered to his skin, eyes darting between two camps. On one side, Sci and the purists, their minds coiled tight around a single desperate dream: return to the Eirathiel Dawn. Cut out the rot, forget Earth's poison ever touched them. On the other side, Yaren's faction circles him like wolves. They've learned to wield lies like blades, and tonight they want blood. Outside the barrier, human special forces shift nervously, rain hissing off their visors. Their rifles track moving shadows that vanish before the scopes can lock. In the chaos, civilians huddle in nearby alleys, eyes wide with horror, humans watching their own creation fracture into a monster they cannot contain. A crackle stabs through Eirathiel's mind. The Truthlink, once a gentle tide, now a raging storm of discordant voices. A rogue thought slices through. Yaren, somewhere in the rain, flooding the link with false images. In one mind, Eirathiel sees a vision of Sci slaughtering innocent humans. In another, Sci sees Eirathiel shaking hands with government conspirators. Each illusion births fresh betrayal. Eirathiel staggers, drops to one knee. Rainwater pools around him, reflecting fractured neon and the glow of alien force fields. Sci shouts through the psychic noise, Eirathiel, choose. If you stay with him, you become him. Yaren's voice coils around Eirathiel's spine like a serpent, his words slipping through the Truthlink. They want you shackled to the old purity. We could be gods, Eirathiel liars, who rule the liars. Lightning splits the sky. In the momentary glare, Eirathiel sees the humans at the barricades, panicked and breaking rank. A young soldier, no, more than 20, tries to drag a wounded comrade to safety. It's humanity. Chaotic, still clinging to survival, even when the monsters look like students they once applauded on talk shows. Somewhere deep inside, a memory surfaces. Maya's words about lies being warmth against the storm. He wonders, is that warmth worth the price? Or has it become fire, consuming everything it touches? Behind him, Yaren lifts his hands, and the air vibrates with telepathic static. Civilians stagger, clutching their heads as false truths fill their minds like poison gas. Eirathiel rises, arms trembling, the storm's wind howling around him. He sees Sci's eyes pleading, accusing, terrified, between the barricades and the alien energy. One thought pulses through his fractured Truthlink. If he doesn't choose now, they all burn together, and high above, the Eirathiel Dawn waits its engines idle, its promise of sanctuary dimmed by the taste of corruption. Eirathiel steps forward, the storm swallowing his voice, as the first shots crackle through the night. The night air at the launch pad vibrates with the low, resonant hum of the Eirathiel Dawn's engines cycling up, its crystalline hull glowing like 1,000 shattered prisms under floodlights. The ground crews stand frozen, weapons at the sides, eyes wide as they watch the impossible vessel breathe in the darkness. The storm has passed, but the scent of scorched ozone and distant fires clings to the metal catwalks. Eirathiel stands at the base of the gangway, cloak torn, face streaked with grime and rain. Behind him, Soraya and what's left of the purists stand in tense silence, clutching datapads loaded with raw earth, knowledge tainted and poisoned in equal measure. The human negotiators push through the perimeter fence, suits rumpled, voices cracking with desperation. Don't do this. The lead envoy pleads, hands lifted in a gesture that means surrender more than it does peace. If you carry your infection home, you'll start a war you can't control. Let's talk, let's fix this. We can fix this. Eirathiel's eyes flick to Maya, standing just behind the envoy, her shoulders hunched beneath a military jacket too big for her. She holds his gaze like it's the only thing keeping her upright. You taught us what truth costs, he says softly, his voice carrying across the open concrete, and what lies can build. Maybe you can fix it here, but it isn't ours to fix anymore. She steps closer, trembling. If you leave, then we become you, he finishes for her. His Truthlink brushes hers one last time, fragile and cracked but still warm. She flinches at the raw edges. He smiles, but there's no triumph in it, only the dull ache of what could have been. With a flick of his wrist, the Eirathiel Dawn's hull ripples, crystalline panels shifting like scales on some vast living creature. It reflects the city skyline in jagged shardstruth, fractured by 1 billion human choices, now stowed like a seed in the minds of those about to ascend. A distant military convoy watches, their armored vehicles rumbling but unmoving. They all know it would take more than bullets to stop this ship, more than rockets to kill what's already grown roots in alien minds. Eirathiel lifts a slim recorder to his lips, the tiny device flickering with blue light. His message echoes over the launchpad's PA system, bouncing between concrete and steel. Earth gave us the gift you fear most, choice. What we become next will be ours alone to answer for. The gangway Soraya places her palm on the hull, feeling it pulse beneath her skin like a heartbeat. Maya watches as the last anchor between their worlds dissolves. The engines swell, drowning out the night. Lights refract off the hull, a living kaleidoscope of human defiance, alien grief, and a future nobody here will ever see the same way again. As the Eirathiel Dawn rises, the world below holds its breath, powerless to recall what it let slip through its fingers. Beneath the violet skies of the Xelari homeworld, the once sacred truth temples now flicker with holographic barricades and whispered suspicion. Courtyards that once held circles of meditating scholars hum instead with the tremor of clashing minds. Telepaths turned insurgents, purists clutching ancient scrolls as if ink could smother contagion. Eirathiel stands at the edge of a temple's marble steps, robes marked with the fractures of his Truthlink. He watches young initiates, eyes wide and frightened. Sense conflicting thoughts swirl around them like a storm they can't escape. His voice echoes, narrating through the halls of memory and across a world split in two. Deception is neither good nor evil, only a tool. The wielder shapes its fate. He touches the temple's central pillar, once a conduit for pure, collective thought. Now it pulses with fractured signals, each one laced with the psychic static of hidden agendas. Nearby, Soraya kneels in the temple's shadows, bandaging a fellow student's head where the Truthlink backlash has burst a vessel. Their bond once made them a family. Now it turns them inside out. Far above, orbiting satellites relay glimpses of Earth's reaction. In conference rooms, human leaders rub their temples raw, wondering if the Xelari will strike back. Will the virus they gifted return as an invasion deceit sharpened into psychic blades? On city streets, murals of the visiting aliens have been painted over in grey. A kind of uneasy hope lingers like fog. Maybe the distance will be enough. Maybe their sins won't come home. But in pockets of the Xelari cities, another faction stirs. Young telepaths gather in secret chambers, pushing the corrupted Truthlink to its breaking point. New abilities bloom like mutations whispers that warp reality, visions implanted so deep they burn memory into flesh. Rumors spread of a group that can project illusions so perfect, the mind breaks trying to separate lie from life. Back in the temple courtyard, a courier drone drops a battered comms unit at Eirathiel's feet. He lifts it, thumbing the cracked screen. A human child's face flickers into viewer-dyed, too young to carry such a burden. The child's voice wavers through static. "I'm sorry for what we did. We didn't mean to break you." He pauses, blinking away a tear. We still want to be friends." Behind the innocent words, Eirathiel's mind pierces the hidden frequencies of faint script fed by handlers. Another lie, wrapped in a child's voice, meant to soothe what can't be undone. He closes his eyes, the Truthlink, a frayed river of doubt flowing through him. He wants to believe the apology. He wants to believe in what they were before. But the pillar hums beneath his palm, a living reminder that the truth is no longer whole, as the temple's once holy silence shatters with distant psychic screams. Eirathiel lifts his gaze to the sky. Earth's cities hold their breath. The fractured minds turn inward and outward all at once. The mirror humanity left behind now reflects something neither species fully understands: deception not as corruption, but as evolution.